Tough day for the club. The club is to some degree in crisis. With every crisis comes an opportunity. It's an opportunity to turn the page and hopefully get better. And that's what we're going to focus on. We've not given up on making the playoffs. Help is on the way, and we are optimistic that we can. That's for emphasis. We're optimistic that we can change this thing positively and we can move forward, this year, and certainly we're going to make decisions that set us up to succeed long term as well.
How much input did you have into the decision to part ways with Lee?
It's an organizational decision, and one that we support. And every time you guys ask me what I do as opposed to what we do, I tell you the same thing. So it was an organizational call, and certainly I can't appreciate the 8 years of history that Adrian personally has with Sigi and Sigi has with him. And Sigi's meant so much to this club, and as a foundational piece, part of the best launch in professional sports history, won consistently. That's a legacy that is going to be difficult to match, and those are big shoes to fill, and we're going to have to do so carefully and thoughtfully.
Adrian mentioned the fact that this is really an organizational problem. How much blame is there in terms of some of the players that were brought in that didn't pan out this year?
I think again, these are mutual things. So this is an opportunity now. I mean, I'll say this. One of the things we're going to try to move forward positively is with establishing a playing style and a playing identity, and it's one of the things that I think will help us in the long term. And I think it's one of the things that I know I look for in terms of building the team, and will make it potentially easier to build the team going forward. So that's one of the things we'll look to do, and it's one of the things that I think we can get better at, and one of the things that there's a lot of good players here. I don't think we have last place talent, and I think we have some pieces we can build around. And the other thing I'd say is that there's a narrative right now that we've gone younger. We're a young team, and in our best 11 we start usually 2 players under the age of 30, at most 3. So I think that has been a narrative with which I disagree, and we need to continue building the club long term, and we need better performances out of everybody, myself included.
Building a style and an identity, do you think that's something that that you guys have lacked here over the last year and a half that you've been here?
What I would say is this team doesn't play like any team I've ever built before, and I'm looking forward to a new beginning where we have some ability to work on that and build that. And this team can succeed. It has good players. It has talent. But we're going to continue to look at the long term and how we want to play, and have that shape our player decisions going forward.
Was that a point of contention between you and Sigi? Was that a push and pull thing?
I actually think Sigi and I got along really well. You'd have to ask him, but I don't recall a conversation with Sigi that ever wasn't cordial. I did my best to be deferential, if anything, over the past 18 months, and he deserved that, and he's earned that, and I have nothing but respect for Sigi and the job he's done here for a long time, certainly much longer than I was here, to make the playoffs every year, to win Open Cups, to win a Supporters' Shield. As I said, we have really big shoes to fill. So, my question was a philosophical answer to the question. My response was a philosophical answer to the question posed as to one of the ways we can get better. And when you move from having 1 soccer team a couple of years ago to having 7 soccer teams now, stuff like philosophy matters. And I think as the league evolves and as the Sounders evolve, those kinds of things are going to be critically important.
Adrian mentioned that it's no secret that Lodeiro has arrived and will be potentially signing with the Sounders. What does he bring to this team?
Well, if hypothetically we were to sign Nicolas Lodeiro, then he's going to make us a footballing team. He's going to make us a passing team and a possession team. He's a tremendous linking player. He's got tremendous work ethic. His resume is as good as any you'll see. He's won the Copa America, played in 3 of them, played in the Copa Libertadores multiple times, played in multiple World Cups. He is also the right age. He's 27. His contract will expire when he's 30 years old, and we have options on him beyond that. But when we talk about making our core group better, younger, more athletic, more technical, he fits all those boxes. He's won championships everywhere he's played, and I couldn't be more excited about adding him.
Hypothetically, what would be left for him to be
we need to get all the paperwork in place and the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and if we do that, then maybe as soon as this weekend, but certainly no promises, no guarantees on that.
Speaking of philosophies, is there a particular coaching philosophy that you'll be looking for in a successor?
You know, I think it's too early to judge that. I think what's important is right now assessing where we are and where we can immediately get better in an effort to make the playoffs. You know, we have another player that we expect to come in this week as well, and hopefully we get Roman Torres back in the next couple of weeks. And the combination of that should make our group better, should make it more competitive, and hopefully put us in a good position to be able to take our time to make these decisions thoughtfully and carefully. Because again, we're trying to replace a legend here, and that's not going to be done easily, and it's not going to be done quickly.
What are you expecting from Brian Schmetzer over the next few months?
Leadership. Being an interim coach isn't easy in any sport, in any situation. And you know, I think you're going to get somebody of great character, great resolve. My first day when I came here, I sat in Brian's office, and I said, look, you know, you've been here longer than anybody. Can you tell me about the Sounders, what it means to be a Sounder? And Brian talked to me for half an hour about the legacy of the club, the history of the club, the culture of the club. And it was really important to me. It kind of gave me a foundation to start everything. You know, so I think he's going to be someone who is going to look out for the club first and foremost. And he's going to take, you know, I think, an approach of accountability in our group, and you know, you guys can talk to him and hear more from him. But I'm excited to work with Brian, and again, you know, he's going to be a candidate for the job. But we're also going to look far and wide for the next coaching candidate. And again, I think it's premature to have a set of characteristics predefined, but certainly that's what we'll work on over the next days and weeks.
In the interim, how do you think his coaching style will differ from Zigi's, or do you think the similarity between the two guys will help this squad kind of with the transition?
I don't know. I got to leave that to Brian. I mean, Brian's going to be his own man, and Brian's going to coach the way that he feels is best for the group, and he should. And you know, again, these interim situations are weird, they're tricky, but if I have any advice for Brian, it's be your own man, and be responsible to yourself, and do what you think is right. And certainly I will try to guide him and help him, and he'll coach to the best of his ability. And as I said, I think we have the ability to make the playoffs, and we're going to try to do that. And you know, let me say too that accept responsibility and accountability. That took us a long time to bring players in. We lost Oba 2 weeks before the season started, and we worked a long time. It took a long time to get players in here to help. You know, that is something that's certainly the responsibility of the front office, and my responsibility. And the reason we did it was because we waited for the player that we thought was our absolute best player. We had a board that was larger than 10 guys. We got our number one guy. It took a long time to do that. And in getting our guy, we had to get the guy who best complemented him. And so that means 2 players toward the end of the transfer window. You know, we certainly had hoped that we wouldn't have had the short-term pain that we had when Oba left, but we did. And that's certainly on us and our responsibility. And again, we're going to try to look to build for the long term now and make this place, hopefully, eventually, a championship contender.
Did you guys think you underestimated what Oba meant to the team?
No, I don't think so. I think that the Oba thing, there was no, when Oba got the offer he got from China, he was going to leave, or it was going to be a big problem. And you know, so I think that we acted responsibly to get something for him on his way out. And again, we knew it was going to be short-term pain. There was no question about that. We hoped that we would be more resilient than we have been. You know, that it is what it is, and you know, we knew that Oba was a big part. He's our leading scorer, our team MVP last year. So I don't know that we underestimated it. We just thought that we, you know, we hoped that we could build a group and make it better. And look, you know, you touched on a very important point. You know, we talked philosophically about what's different. We're not going to be as reliant on one player. We're not going to, you know, have a strategy where we pass the ball to 1 or 2 guys and hope that they score occasionally and don't worry about everything else. We are going to have systems and organizations and platforms, and we're going to have player successions, and we're going to do it in a way that allows us to succeed long term, allows us to plug role players in and plug and play, and we're going to do it in a way that avoids a repeat of the Oba scenario ever again.
What do you mean there would have been, or that there could have been consequences that if Oba hadn't left, if he hadn't accepted his offer?
I think he would have been a real pain in the ass. So you can ask him. I mean, you know, when look, I mean, if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I'll pay you 3 times what you make here to do your job," and your boss told you couldn't go, you probably wouldn't be too thrilled about that either. So, I mean, again, like, I'm a lawyer. There's legal contracts. You can fight things legally, but we're human beings first. And again, I think all of us would answer the question the same way. If you have an opportunity that he had, I think you probably would have taken it. And I don't blame him for that in any way. That's our business. That's the way it works. And you know, that's the decision we made. And then again, we own it. We take responsibility for it. And again, we're going to try to sign DPs going forward that we think want to be here long term. And I believe that if we are able to add Lodeiro, that he's a player that does really want to be here for himself, for the club, for his family, and for the city.
Alejandro Bedoya mentioned in social media that there might have been some type of talk with him and that you guys offered Valdez twice as much. Was there any truth to that? Did you guys approach Alejandro Bedoya at any point?
Alejandro Bedoya had to come into the league through allocation rankings. We were, I think, 16th at one point in those rankings. You had to be first in order to speak to Alejandro. So, to the best of my knowledge, we had at least 10 teams between us and Alejandro at any given point. I have personally never spoken to Alejandro in my life. I'm not aware of anyone in the organization that's ever spoken to Alejandro, and certainly, you know, it's a free country. He's entitled to his opinion, whatever he thinks. But beyond that, again, to the best of my knowledge, I'm never contacted Alejandro.
Garth, what was different this year that Zigi's leadership didn't have the same kind of success that it had in previous years?
You know what? I think it's you know, I think we've covered this ground a little bit, and I think what we need to focus on is being forward facing and how do we get better and how do we improve. And look, we can all go back and Monday morning quarterback and say we could have done this, could have done that. It's important for me to say here are the mistakes that the front office made. We've addressed Oba, we've addressed bringing in Oba's replacement, and we've talked about some of the things that we're going to do going forward that I think can help whoever the coach is out more. And certainly, anytime you fire a coach, it's the front office's fault on some level. It has to be, because that means that we didn't give the coach enough tools and enough weapons to succeed. So, you know, as to how it went wrong or what went wrong, I mean, I think that those are postmortems for another day, and honestly not that relevant to what we're going to do going forward.